Hey y'all, it's Akaxha, aka XHA, and welcome to my channel. Thanks for tuning back in for another episode of Spooky, Scary, Slay Saturdays. And yes, like I said, I'm gonna stay consistent. I'm not gonna pull a Corey Kenshin no more. So I just really thought about doing something festive for the holidays. So I thought, why nothing else better than to do a Thanksgiving Day murder. Now, I understand it's Saturday. Thanksgiving was like 2 days ago. But yes, we still festive. We still in the holiday spirit of Thanksgiving because I know y'all still got leftovers. So it is what it is. But yes, without further ado, I'll go ahead and shut my mouth and let's get started. Priscilla Ford is who we will be talking about today. Have you heard of her? Have you seen her? Well, if not, child, she is the reason why we now have a thing in the books called Thanksgiving Day Massacre. So, Priscilla Ford is an African-American,
girl, just say black
woman who was born on February 10th, 1929 in Barron Springs, Michigan. Now, believe it or not, a lot of sources really don't have much information as far as when she was younger. A lot of sources really just skip to when she was 28 years old. So really don't know if she had a good childhood, if she had a bad childhood. We really don't know. It just skips to when she was 28 years old. So that's what we're jumping into. If you're confused about the timeline, that's why I'm starting where I'm starting, because I couldn't find a damn thing. But there's still a lot of information though. So the first event that happened was in 1957. Priscilla ended up shooting her husband and herself in a self-defense situation. Fortunately, couldn't really find what the hell happened, but what we could presume was that they probably got into a really heated argument and she probably felt as if he was trying to hurt her. Maybe he did put his hands on her. It doesn't really specify, but yeah, she shot her husband and herself. How the hell she shot herself? I don't fucking know. I have a lot of questions. Maybe she tried to do like a murder-suicide. Now, I don't really know if she murdered her husband because it doesn't really say in very many sources. I thought she did just because like of the timeline that I'm about to present to you of this woman's events occurring to what led up to that Thanksgiving Day massacre. But it just really doesn't say. And then if she did kill her husband, she didn't get arrested or charged for it, so it's kind of like 50-50. There's certain things in this story where it's like, I really wish I knew what the hell happened, because I'm curious. I want to know what the fuck happened, but I don't know what happened. I tried to look it up though. This time I wasn't being lazy. I actually tried to look it up, but shit just wasn't there. And if you're ever curious as to what products I'm using, I'll list them down in the description below. Did forget to say that, but yes, I'll list them down in the description below as far as what products I'm using on my face. Now, within that same year of shooting herself and her goddamn husband, Priscilla ended up getting a job as a teacher. Yeah, as a teacher after shooting and possibly murdering her husband and fucking shooting herself. And where that job was, it was in, forgive me because I'm about to butcher this shit out this name, Dowegiac, Dominican Republic.
Oh fucking damn hell
It was in Dowegiac, Michigan. And she also didn't have a college degree as she got this job. She only had a high school diploma. And the school that she was teaching at, it was at the time very, very fucking prejudiced. Sources say that a lot of the teachers and the children that were at the school, they didn't like Priscilla because she was black. At first I thought when I was reading this, I was like, okay, maybe they just like questioned her teachings and stuff just because she didn't have like a college degree. No, they just didn't like her because she was black. Homegirl was black. They didn't like her. But fortunately, after a while, they did start to grow on her, and they actually, I still kind of think this is kind of racist because it reminds me of like Negro spirituals, and that's what I feel like they were probably like singing her. But apparently they sang or sung praises to her, and they eventually like grew on her and, you know, started to like her and like, you know, but the singing praises, I don't fucking know. I just thought it was kind of weird and peculiar because I'm like, were they singing Negro spiritual songs to her? Like,
I was born by the river, I was shaking that ass, bending over, popping pussy.
That's just what ran through my mind, but I don't know. And then in 1966, she finally got her bachelor's degree. Again, at what college? I don't know. Y'all were probably like,
there's a lot of details being left out. Why the fuck did you choose this story?
You about to see in a minute because it actually gets interesting. Shit's about to get crazy and go down. Like that type of crazy. And another thing about this story, like, it does have a lot of skips, unfortunately, and I'm sorry about that. Excuse you. I still just really thought that this was an interesting story as far as like how the turn of events happened, and like just her timeline is really interesting. It's pretty fucking sad, but it's still really interesting. And now we're about to jump to where her mental health really starts to take a toll on her. So now in 1970, this is where Priscilla's family members start reporting that her mental health starts to really get weary and starts to really get weird. Apparently, she started saying that she begun seeing her dead husband across the street from her home in Buffalo, New York. And that, you know, she just seen him walking around or waving at her and shit from across the street. And, you know, he's dead. So they kind of like, we're looking at her like, the fuck? Like, what? What are you talking about? And not only that, she also proclaimed that she had the spirit of Jesus Christ, or she was the reincarnation of Adam, Eve's husband. Where she got that from, why, how, no one still really knows, but this is just where shit starts to get like crazy and going downhill. And like I said, the story has a lot of skips and jumps, so just pay attention, stay with me, and you'll know what the hell's going on. Now, in 1972, her son, one of her sons, he returns from the army, and he claims that his mother has become delusional and she is now an alcoholic. So she's drinking, she's proclaiming that she has the spirit of Jesus and Adam, Eve's husband, inside of her. She's also claiming that she sees her dead husband across the street. So if you don't really know what's going on, she's starting to develop schizophrenia if you're lost. She really starts to get really mentally ill. And now in 1973, which is the next following year, she moves to Reno, Nevada, and she checks herself into a mental institute. To be more specific, it was the Nevada Mental Health Institute, and she doesn't really stay there for that long, probably not even a few months. Like, she was literally treated and released. And the diagnosis was passive-aggressive personality with hysterical episodes. So like I said, she's developing schizophrenia slowly but surely kind of thing. That's what's going on. Now, jumping to the following year of 1974, Priscilla is arrested for trespassing. Trespassing where?
I don't fucking know.
But she was arrested for trespassing, and her daughter, Winter Scott, was unfortunately taken away by social workers, and she was put into Wittenberg Hall. And after that situation happened, Priscilla just like basically kept saying that her daughter was kidnapped and taken away from her. That's like how she felt. That's how she took it, because like I said, she's progressively developing schizophrenia like really seriously. So she seriously thinks that they kidnapped her daughter. Like, she does not believe that she got taken away by social workers. She really hardcore believes that her daughter was kidnapped. That's what really also starts to fuck her up even more. And now within that same year, she moves back to Buffalo, New York. So like I said, it's a lot going on. It doesn't even say if where she got the money, if she was still employed at the goddamn school. It's just like she's hopping back, forth, north, south, east, west, to the North Pole. Like, she's just going everywhere. So it's like, it's still an interesting story to me, in my opinion, but yeah, it's a lot going on. Mind you, when she moved back to Buffalo, New York, she was trying to get help from like Catholic charities, but one of the nuns described her as delusional and said that she was like a fucking lunatic. She didn't say fucking lunatic, but that's just how the nun thought of her. The nun thought that she was like fucking insane. She was like, we're not helping you. Like, not happening. It's unfortunate, but that's what the hell happened. Now, jumping to 1979 for the third time, because she was treated back in 1978 at another mental institute. She was treated again in 1979 at another mental institute in Buffalo, New York. This time, it was actually treated for paranoid schizophrenia. So like I said, it was just progressively developing, unfortunately, and now it's like the year, as far as where we're at with Priscilla, her schizophrenia is just like, it's through the fucking roof. Like, it's at its worst point, like right now. Now, jumping to a few months before the massacre actually happened. Now, in May of 1980, because once again, like I said, she seriously believes that her daughter was kidnapped and taken from her. So she tries to hire an attorney to help her get her daughter back, but she doesn't simply tell the attorney, like, hey, my daughter was taken away by, you know, child services, I want to get her back. No, she tells the lawyer that her daughter was kidnapped and that she wants to get her back. And she tells the lawyer that if she does not get her daughter back, that she will drive across the state and kill everybody and anybody that is in the way. So she tells them, like, hey, if you don't fucking help me, I'm gonna drive across the state, I'm gonna drive all over this fucking town and kill everybody. Like, I'm just gonna run everybody over. So it's like premeditated in a sense. Like, that's what kind of confuses me, because it's like she's seriously mentally ill, but she premeditated this, like, killing. Like, no, she didn't like say, I'm gonna kill XYZ, I'm gonna kill this person, this, but like, no, she in a sense premeditated it. And I mean, I'm not like a psychologist or anything like that, but I mean, if you're mentally ill, can you maybe I'll understand once I do this kind of stuff more and I like get more into, you know, doing these murder stories, maybe then I'll like kind of understand and have my own little diagnosis. But it just kind of baffles me, because I just like, of course, a lot of murderers, like, you know, even Jeffrey Dahmer, they're all somewhat mentally ill, obviously, because they went around doing this bullshit. But it's like, they're not to the point where it's like Priscilla is what I'm saying. Like, and maybe she's not even that mentally ill, you know, maybe sources just make her seem like she's fucking crazy. But it's kind of like, you know, was she, and I mean, maybe she wasn't that crazy, because she was still able to get jobs, so maybe she just had certain episodes. But I have so many questions. But yes, up in early November, presumably, because this is like right before the massacre took place, it was still 1980, obviously, because it's right before the massacre. Priscilla, she's en route to San Francisco, and it doesn't say why she was en route to San Francisco. Maybe she was just traveling. Maybe she liked to travel. It's kind of what it seems like, honestly, because she's jumping from state to state, and like, she's going everywhere. So maybe she liked to travel. But she didn't make it to San Francisco, and instead she decides to stay in Reno after she cashed a check, and she just decides to stay in the city for a while. And she even got a temporary job as a package wrapper or package handler, however you want to, you know, call it, at Macy's. So it just really makes you think, like, okay, sources try to make it seem like she was absolutely insane, but she's still getting jobs. And I mean, I understand they can't discriminate, you know, for mental illnesses, but I feel like if it gets too bad to a certain point where they have to like literally keep you in a mental hospital, obviously you're not gonna work. I'm just like, how is she able to get a job if like if she was so mentally ill? But like, you know, the media hypes every fucking thing up. So now we will be jumping into the day of the massacre, when everything just went down. If you're wondering what the hell I'm doing,
I don't fucking know.
Alright, so the day of the massacre. It is November 27th, 1980 in Reno, Nevada. And once again, it is Thanksgiving Day. And it's around 47 degrees, and it is 2:57 in the afternoon. And of course, it's Thanksgiving Day, so it's a lot more people than normal. It's a lot more tourists, a lot more people. It's just a shit ton of people that are out right now, so that's what makes it worse. People are just out having a good time, you know. It's just a regular day, regular Thanksgiving. Everybody's just getting lit, having fun. Family members are there. People are out having fun. They're either having dinner at their house, they're having dinner near the casino, they're just walking about the city, just enjoying the day. So it's just really a beautiful day, and then this tragedy happens. So now that I set the mood on this bright, you know, Thanksgiving Day, shit's about to get real and unfortunate. I remember how I told you it was 2:57 when all this like peacefulness is going on? Fast forward to 2:59, 2 fucking minutes later. Priscilla is driving not too far from 2nd Street. And mind you, she's drunk. She's drank emerald wine and only had literally a few crackers, so she's drunk. And she's driving. And she drove from her home all the way from Meadowwood Mall to 2nd and Virginia Street. So I don't really know right off the top how far that is, but insert right here, editing Akaxha. As soon as she hits 2nd and Virginia Street, kid you not, she literally jumped the curb at 20 miles per hour in her 1974 Lincoln. And she begins to accelerate to 40 miles per hour and just starts dashing down the fucking sidewalk where people are walking.
Yeah.
And she continued about 100 feet down the sidewalk, and witnesses say that she crossed the 2nd Street crossing walk and she continued another 322 feet down the sidewalk. So imagine being out in the city of Reno, Nevada on Thanksgiving Day at that. You're literally just chilling with your family, maybe your friends. You're walking to the nearest boutique, you're walking to the nearest fucking restaurant, you're walking somewhere, and you're literally just peaceful, minding your business, having a good time, and you see a fucking car just dashing out in front of you. That's terrifying. Like, dude,
What the fuck?
so as she is dashing down the road, she passes by the bank, she is passing by Harrah's nightclub and Harold's Club, and then she circles her way back to 2nd Street. So she basically drove around the 5-point block, just on the fucking sidewalk. Basically where people were walking, that's what she was driving over. So like I said, she literally went all the way around the 5-point block, came back to 2nd and Virginia Street, and continued southbound about 2 traffic lights down, and she's like going past red lights and everything. Like, she's just going batshit bonkers. Like, she ran over a bunch of people. Like, she's just going batshit crazy at this point. So she's running red lights, and about the 2nd red light that she had ran, she got stopped behind a whole bunch of traffic, and then of course causing traffic behind her as people are trying to swerve all in and out the lanes, trying to figure out where they're going and shit, because she's just running all these red lights. So after Priscilla's carnage has been done, a total of 5 people were killed instantly when she immediately started getting on the road. 5 people were killed instantly, and 24 were injured, and along the way, like, she ended up killing like 1 more person. So in total, 6 people were killed and 24 were injured, and 14 people were sent to Washoe Medical Center, and the other 10 were sent to St. Mary's. And as the ambulances were coming, police were coming, the way that it was described was that there were body parts everywhere, there was just dead bodies laying everywhere, blood is everywhere. Like, it literally looks like a massacre. Like, there's just shit everywhere. Like, it looks like a fucking war zone. Like, can you imagine, like, you're literally just out with like your 5-year-old daughter, and you look around you and there's just like, or maybe you even walk around the corner from where Priscilla didn't even drive, and you just see carnage. You just see arms, a few arms here, legs here. There might, like, it doesn't say if anyone was decapitated, but there might have even been decapitations there, people's heads cut off. Like, it was just fucking insane. Like, there's pictures, but I won't put that in there. I won't put those pictures in here, but if you would like to see, here are the pictures of, you know, just what was going on. So that's pretty much what it looked like. The non-explicit version of this story, that's what it looks like, because it's just awful. And John Oakes was the deputy district attorney that was on call that day. And here's just a little quote from him. John Oakes said, "I was dispatched down to a hit and run," he says. "I thought they were kidding me. It's Thanksgiving. I got downtown and it was a fucking war zone. There were bodies and shit everywhere. It was carnage. People were crying and ambulances were responding. but it was a clusterfuck. End quote. But for some reason, Priscilla was at one of the medical centers. It doesn't say if she was at the Washington one or the St. Mary's one. She was at one of the hospitals. I don't know if they were bringing her in to see if she was injured or doing a mental evaluation. It doesn't say really. She was just there. And Attorney Oakes was there with her. He was told to, you know, keep an eye on her, basically, because people wanted to kill her. People wanted her dead. Like, there were family members that were literally running up, like, they were in the hospital just to kill Priscilla. Like, they were not playing. I mean, can you blame them? Like, honestly, I'd be the same way. Like, dude, what the fuck? You just like, you know, you just decapitated like one of my family members, or like you just killed them. Like, you know, they want blood. And I'll go ahead and finish up the rest of the story in a second. Just allow me like maybe 2 seconds to go ahead and put on my lashes and my lips. I'm back. So yes, after the tragedy took place, the trial actually didn't officially begin until a year later, after the massacre. So the families really didn't get much closure until after it really started. So you can imagine that they were devastated. A lot of them were still pissed off. Like I said, they wanted to kill Priscilla Ford. Like, they wanted her dead. So in January of 1981, where they had like tried to start the trial, she wasn't deemed as competent by the judge to even participate in trial because of her mental health. So he sent her to a mental health treatment center to get treated. That way she could be competent. And in August of 1981, that's when they finally deemed her as competent for trial. And when she did go on for trial in August of 1981, she pleaded reason of insanity and that she was not guilty whatsoever. So on March 20th, 1982, a jury of 7 men and 5 women deemed Priscilla Ford as guilty on all accounts, and she was sentenced to death on March 29th. But Priscilla had said, quote,
"I would like to be left alone to die in peace."
End quote. And basically, long story short, for the next 18 years, she remains on death row in Ely, Nevada, as she goes through multiple appeal processes, which none of them actually gone through, by the way. It's just she was never really sentenced to death, unfortunately. Well, I don't know. It's like, I don't want to say unfortunately, because it's like, it's kind of conflicting. It's like, does she deserve to die on certain accounts? Yes. I mean, maybe if I was in the situation of the family member where she had murdered somebody of my family, I'd probably be thinking the same thing, like, no, this bitch needs to die. But it's like, on the same amount, it's like, was she like, if she was really mentally ill, like, she just needs to get admitted to a fucking hospital. Like, the fuck? And all in all, once the trial actually did officially get started, it lasted about 5 extra months. So had to wait a year until Priscilla was even competent mentally to stand trial. Then after trial begun, took about 5 more extra months to even fucking finish the goddamn trial. And in the end, they had at first said that Priscilla was charged with 6 counts of murder and 23 counts of attempted murder. And some reports say that 7 people actually were murdered during the incident. But due to changes being made in the murder indictment, she was only charged for 6 counts of murder. So there was one case where the family didn't get their closure and she wasn't deemed guilty for that one murder, unfortunately. And she actually had like no remorse whatsoever. Like, she told a prison inmate, like, when they asked her like, why'd you do it, she said, I had to do what I had to do. And she told a police officer, like, the more dead the better. And there were also some sources that she apparently said that the people that she ran over weren't actually citizens. They weren't people. They were like pigs, wild pigs. They're wild animals. They deserve to die. So it's like, dude, what the fuck? So all in all, Priscilla's case did go down as the most expensive case to ever, like, you know, happen in Reno, Nevada. And the entire cost of her trial was actually $274,494. That's an expensive ass case. I hope them lawyers fucking got paid. So like I said, next 18 years, she kept going through multiple appeals from being sentenced on death row. So she really just sat in prison for like the next 18 years. And she finally passed away on January 29th, 2005 due to complications of emphysema, and she was 75 years old. And that is it, y'all. That is the story of Priscilla Ford. So hopefully you guys liked it. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Go ahead and leave a comment down below if you're feeling generous. Helps me out a lot. But like I said, I'm going to continue to keep being consistent. I love doing this. I love doing the research and just researching what really goes on inside of people's heads, even though it's really fucked up most of the time. But I hope you enjoyed this little Thanksgiving Day themed video, even though it was 2 days after Thanksgiving. Who cares? We're still in the holiday spirit. But that is all I have for you guys. See you on the next one. Bye.
I done tried to fix you so many times. I'm fed up with hearing all of your damn lies. Sick of it.